Today, we've got plenty more confirmations about the new iPhone 16 series, including an epic new feature. Let me know in the comments who out there is waiting for the iPhone 16, and don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest tech. So first story of the day, we've got news from an integrated circuit expert who advises that Touch ID is not going to be making a return in the iPhone 16. They advise that the equipment used to manufacture the iPhone Touch ID chips has been shut down, and to be honest, it's very clear that Apple don't want to bring Touch ID back, despite multiple rumors of this happening every year. Next up, we've got news from Revegnus that the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Plus have been confirmed to have LTPS 60Hz displays, and to be honest, again this is very likely. The point in the standard iPhones is to provide a cheaper solution for those that aren't bothered with the high specs, because those that want the high specs can simply opt for the Pro. Now interestingly, his tweet also advises that the non-Pro models are going to remain at the same display sizes as last year's iPhones, and it's only the Pro models that will get an upgrade to the 6.3 and the 6.9-inch displays. Of course, there are lots of reports stating that they'll all get a display upgrade, so we're going to have to wait and see. Now on to the good news, and first up we've got a report that says that the iPhone 16 Pro will be getting the new 5x tetraprism lens that was previously exclusive to the Pro Max. With the iPhone 16 Pro increasing it to a 6.3-inch display, it's provided more space internally so the phone can now accommodate the new hardware, whereas previously this just wasn't possible. Now having a larger display is also going to create room for a larger battery capacity, and on top of that we've got news that the iPhone 16 Pro models are going to be using an OLED material set from Samsung Displays, and it's one that's been specifically designed for Apple. Now the previous phones used the M12 OLED set, but the new M14 set is being designed for the iPhones only, and it's reportedly got a big focus on the panel's efficiency, which is going to further aid better battery life on the iPhones. Next up, we've got plenty of news about the new battery, and a prototype has already been discovered for the iPhone 16. The battery prototype is 2.5% larger than its predecessor, but the new battery has a metal shell to improve the heat dissipation, and the new iPhone 16 battery is going to use a graphene thermal system to reduce overheating of the battery and further improve its performance. Apparently, it's something that Apple have been working towards for quite some time now, and it appears that we're finally going to see it with the iPhone 16. Next up, we've got great news about the app sideloading on the iPhone, and the feature is coming ahead of the iPhone 16 launch, and it's expected in the first half of 2024. Now, it's all thanks to pressure from the European Union, and I think overall it's a positive thing, as those who don't want to sideload apps don't have to, and those that want to can. Now, not only that, but it could also add some vulnerabilities for those that want to jailbreak their phone, but we're going to have to wait and see. Now next up, we've got news from reliable analyst Mark Gurman that Apple are leveraging software updates in order to sell the new iPhone 16. Like many other companies out there, it's going to be focused on AI. iOS 18 is going to have a whole range of new generative AI features, and it's very likely that some will be specific to the iPhone 16 series and not be available for the lower models. They're also going to be focusing on AI using the device itself and not having to rely on a cloud. Now, Google showed us with the Pixel 8 how much AI can improve the experience, although a lot of their features do rely on the cloud. Samsung also announced their new Galaxy AI, which could be focused on the device, and it seems Apple is going to be doing exactly the same. Now, given the power of the Apple chipsets, as long as Apple put work into the right AI features, I think it's going to be great for all iPhone users. Now, for those excited for the new iPhone 16, we're now going to run through the full specs, design, and the expected pricing to help you guys decide which one is right for you. For my regular viewers, you guys have seen this, so just skip to the next video, but if you're new here, then hit subscribe now and we'll get right into it. So first up, we have the standard iPhone 16. With the standard iPhone 16, we get a 6.3-inch OLED display, but unfortunately, this is still going to be an LTPS display. The iPhone 16 is going to have a taller aspect ratio than last year, and it's going to be protected by Ceramic Shield 2. We get the new Dynamic Island, which covers up the 12-megapixel selfie camera and Face ID sensors. Then on the rear, we've got a 12-megapixel primary camera and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide. It's powered by the A18 chipset, and it's likely coming with 6GB of RAM and up to 512GB of storage. It's also powered by a 3450 mAh battery with 30-watt fast charging, and it's going to come with advanced 5G, Bluetooth 5.3 and Wi-Fi 7. Now it will of course ship with iOS 18 and is expected to launch from around $850 in September 2024. Now next up, we've got the iPhone 16 Plus. With the iPhone 16 Plus, we get a 6.9-inch OLED display, and again, unfortunately, this is another LTPS display. It's got a taller aspect ratio than its predecessor and is protected by Ceramic Shield 2. We get the new dynamic island, which covers up the 12-megapixel selfie cameras and Face ID sensors. Then on the rear, we've got a 12-megapixel primary camera and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide. It's powered by the A18 chipset, and it's likely going to come with a choice of 6GB of RAM and up to 512GB of storage. It's powered by a 4420 mAh battery with 30-watt fast charging, and it comes with the advanced 5G, Bluetooth 5.3 and Wi-Fi 7. Now it of course ships with iOS 18 and is expected to launch from around $950 in September 24. Next up, we've got the iPhone 16 Pro. Now the iPhone 16 Pro has a 6.3-inch 120Hz LTPO OLED display. It's got a taller aspect ratio than its predecessor, and the Pro is protected by Ceramic Shield 3. We get the new dynamic island, which covers up the 12-megapixel selfie camera and Face ID sensors. Then on the rear, we get a 48-megapixel primary camera, a 48-megapixel ultra-wide camera, and then we've got a 12-megapixel tetraprism camera with 5x optical zoom. It's powered up by the A18 Pro chipset, and it comes with 8GB of RAM and up to 1TB of storage, and it's also powered up by a 3450 mAh battery, and fast charging is still unknown at the moment, but we do expect some improvements, and of course it comes with the advanced 5G, Bluetooth 5.3 and Wi-Fi 7. It will of course ship with iOS 18 and is expected to launch from around $1,100 in September 2024. Now finally, we save the best to last, the iPhone 16 Pro Max. With the iPhone 16 Pro Max, we get a 6.9-inch 120Hz LTPO OLED display. Again, like the other phones, it's got a taller aspect ratio than its predecessor and is protected by Ceramic Shield 3. We get the dynamic island, which covers up the 12-megapixel selfie cameras and Face ID sensors. And then on the rear, we've got a 48-megapixel primary camera, a 48-megapixel ultra-wide, and a 12-megapixel tetraprism camera with 5x optical zoom. It's powered up by the A18 Pro chipset. It comes with 8GB of RAM and up to 1TB of storage, and it's powered up by a 4500 mAh battery. As with the 16 Pro, we don't know the fast charging at the moment, but we do expect to see some improvements. Now it comes with the advanced 5G, Bluetooth 5.3 and Wi-Fi 7, and it will of course ship with iOS 18, and this one's expected to launch around $1,300 in September 24. So overall, the iPhone 16 is looking like a great phone, with focus being on the hardware and software improvements rather than completely redesigning the phone for the sake of it, although the increased display sizes are going to be a welcomed improvement for many. Now because of its similarities to the predecessor, it's probably not going to make anyone with an iPhone 15 rush for an upgrade, but for anyone with an older iPhone or looking to get their first iPhone, then it's going to be a great choice. Now of course, as we get closer to launch, more and more information is going to continue to come in, and I'll be sharing it as soon as it does, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a thing in the future.